I'm going to run you through the supplements that I believe every single man over 35 should be taking, and I'm going to give you the science as to why these are so effective. And if you're not already taking these, then you are leaving a lot of gains on the table. The thing with the supplementation world is it's very murky and it's very noisy. There's a lot of people with a lot of opinions, and a lot of them are trying to push certain brands and certain products onto you. And that's because it's very lucrative, right? A lot of people have been sold, or missold, I should say, that supplements are the shortcut. In fact, this is a true story. I actually got an email from a guy last week who offered me $10,000 if I could find the supplement that would help him cure his insomnia. But as I said to him, and I'll say to you right now, if such a supplement existed, he wouldn't need me or anyone else to find that supplement for him. The big pharmaceutical companies would be paying the TV networks millions to push it in front of him on his TV screen. So we don't want to be seeing these supplements as the secret sauce, and they're absolutely not. So I'm going to say two things to you straight off the bat. Number one is that I have absolutely nothing to sell you. If you look at the description underneath this video, you're not going to find any discount codes, and you're certainly not going to find any affiliate links, okay? And number two is that supplements are not the shortcut. They are there to supplement a healthy lifestyle. I mean, the clue is literally in the name. That is literally what the word supplement means, all right, guys? And the thing with supplements is most of them are a waste of money, and the profit margins on them are absolutely crazy. And these supplement companies now, they're starting to take the piss, for lack of a better word. Like, they are charging crazy premiums on people because they know people are getting more and more desperate. In other words, the pain that people are experiencing is increasing. So they're getting more desperate, and that means they'll pay more with their dollars, right? Make sense? However, there are some that we're going to talk about today. 4 that I consider essential, that I think everyone should be taking, and then another 3 which are kind of optional extras if you want to take things to the next level. But like I say, the most important thing that I want you to take from this video is that supplements are the tip of the spear. Nothing, and I really do mean nothing, can beat getting your sleep sorted. That's the foundation of the pyramid, then your nutrition, and then your workouts, or just your movement in general, so your workouts and your steps. You fix the pyramid, you hit those 3, and you've pretty much done 95, 99, whatever arbitrary percentage point that you want to apply to it. But it's a very high percentage point, okay? Right, we're going to start with number 1, and that is the OG of the supplementation world, and that is creatine monohydrate, okay? So outside of caffeine, this is the most well-researched supplement in the world. And yes, caffeine is a supplement because it is in fact a performance enhancer. It's very safe, it's very cheap, and it's very potent. We're talking about creatine. Well, to be fair, caffeine as well. And honestly, I believe everybody should be taking creatine. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, there is even argument for teenagers to take it too, okay? The thing is though, it comes with multiple benefits. The first thing is that it does something where it increases your level of what we call phosphocreatine. And phosphocreatine is essentially your primary energy source. So it helps you to regenerate something called ATP. And the more ATP that you have in your system, the more that you're going to get out of every rep in the gym. And as a result, the bigger the muscle contractions you're going to have, the more muscle contractions you're going to have, and the bigger the muscles you're going to grow. However, it's very easy to look at creatine as a little bit dodgy. I mean, after all, it's a white powder that helps us build muscles. It speeds up the recovery, and it helps us get stronger in the gym. But honestly, it is anything but dodgy. So that's the first thing to say about creatine. The second thing to say about creatine, and this is much more recent and I would argue much more exciting, is that they are now finding that it has cognitive benefits. So essentially, it can help with mental acuity and performance with your brain. So I'll give you an example of this. You might not realize this, but your brain is the most metabolically active organ in the body. That means it's burning the most calories, more than your heart, more than your lungs, more than everything. It's the operations center. Me doing this live right now, I'm actually going to look, is going to have elevated my heart rate to a point where it's probably thinking that I'm out for a walk. Because I'm thinking as I'm talking to you, I'm making sure that I'm using my hand language, I'm thinking about the words that I want to say to you. Yeah, 86 is my current, I'm sitting here doing nothing, my current heart rate is 86. So this is the equivalent of me going out and doing a light walk. Our brain burns through a lot of calories, and what we didn't know up until now is that creatine can be a fantastic way to improve memory, improve focus, and improve lots of other big benefits when it comes to our nervous system as well. So the way I like to look at creatine is that you want to take 10 grams per day. You want to take 5 grams for your muscles and 5 grams for your brain. Now, it doesn't work that way. That's just the way I like to think about it. But if you aim for 10 grams of creatine monohydrate, and that's very important because there's lots of different types of creatine, then you're going to be in a very, very good place with this. The other thing to say about creatine actually is that there's a lot of different quality variances between different brands that sell creatine monohydrate. So it's very easy for a brand to just slap creatine monohydrate on the label and sell it to you for X number of dollars. You want to watch out for this though, because most creatine is produced in China. The type that you really want, if you want to take this to the next level and kind of maximize the benefit that you get from it, is going to have a word called Crea Pure on it. So it's C-R-E-A pure, essentially, and it's one word. And when they've got that word on it, it means that the creatine has come from Germany. Okay, so it's like German engineering. Think of it like you're buying the BMW versus the BYD or whatever the Chinese car company is. Nothing against Chinese car companies. I'm just saying that I'd prefer the BMW, right? So if you can find it, get Crea Pure. If you just type into Amazon, Crea Pure, that's probably the best way to do it, because any Crea Pure is going to be creatine monohydrate by sort of default. So that's the first thing to say about creatine. I think, oh, and the last thing to say about creatine is that you do not need to load it and you do not need to cycle it. You'll see a lot of people saying like, oh, in the first week you should have 20 grams a day and then you drop it down to 5 grams, but you should only take creatine for 4 weeks and then you shouldn't have it for 2 weeks. No, I have taken creatine quite literally every single day for over 10 years. It's only been in the last 2 years that I've gone from 5 grams to 10 grams. Truth be told, I actually tested all the way up to 20 grams, but I didn't really see much of a difference between 10 and 20, and we're all about minimum effective dose. So I just settled on 10. I have 5 grams, I just dry scoop it in the morning, and then I have another 5 grams at lunch. You don't need to space it out. I just do that because I have the luxury of working from home, running my own business and stuff like this. So if you can do it and you're going to remember, then split it out like that. You can mix it in water, or I just literally will get the scooper, pour it in my mouth, and then pour the water in, mix it up, a little bit like mouthwash, and then just down it. It means I'm not having to wash up cups and mugs and shakers and all that jazz. So that is creatine, gentlemen. Supplement number 2 of the essentials range, we talked about these before, is our electrolytes. So electrolytes are essentially minerals. We've got calcium and potassium and magnesium and of course sodium as well. And what most people don't realize, and we said this the other day, is that you lose a lot of sodium, a lot of salt through the night when you are sweating and when you are breathing. So the electrolytes essentially help to rehydrate you, but they also help to wake up your brain and help your nervous system as well. That's the real powerful thing. And they don't just help with that, they also help with muscle contraction. But when I say muscle contraction, I don't just mean like bicep curls. I'm talking about like the tiniest muscles that you don't even think about. I mean like me moving my arms around like this, even blinking, that is a muscle that is being used in my body. So the electrolytes help with all this stuff. Essentially, it's like, think of it like you're putting premium oil in your car. That's a good way of looking at it. You don't need it, and there's still the vast majority of people who don't take electrolytes. But again, they're cheap, they're well researched, they're widely available. Why wouldn't you? And also, I'll tell you another big benefit of electrolytes is they add some taste, some flavor to your water. And so as a result of that, I at least don't drink any liquid calories. Occasionally I'll have I think I've said to you before, I'll have a Fanta Lemon, 0 sugar, so that's 0 calories. I think it's like 4 calories anyway. But for the most part, I just have my electrolytes. I have them in the morning and I have them in the evening as well, because I like to rehydrate after a long day of working. And you don't have to do that, but I would definitely say that you want to be having, as a minimum, having them in the morning. And when it comes to dosage, just follow whatever is said to you on the brand that you choose. When it comes to brands, you don't want to be going into supermarkets and getting like a Powerade or a Lucozade or what's the other one, Gatorade. You don't want to be doing that, because the problem is that most of them are loaded with sugar. Sugar is calories. And even the ones that have 0 calories, they tend to be loaded with artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. Again, this isn't a massive problem, but I just like to have stuff like I've said to you before, the fewer ingredients, the better, right? Also, the sports drinks in the supermarkets, they come at like a real big premium. If you buy your supplements from a brand, and we'll talk about brands in a second, then you're going to be saving a lot of money as well, because you tend to buy like a month's supply, or I buy 3 months supply in one go, so it's just done and dusted. Now, when it comes to brands, when I was in the UK, I used to order them from a company called Bulk. That's B-U-L-K. If I was in the US, then you've got a lot more options. There's a great company called LMNT. It stands for Element, but it's spelled LMNT. It's a little bit more expensive, but they are fantastic. You can get them in the UK. It's a little bit more expensive because you have to import them from the US and tariffs and all that stuff. It's absolutely crazy in Europe, so I don't do Element in Europe. When I'm in Europe now, I'm in Spain, I'm ordering from a company called Salt. It's SALTE. They're lemonade flavor, and they are absolutely beautiful. But focus less on the brand and just focus on having them. It's probably one of those things that you're going to have to try a few before you find one that you actually like and that you dig and that you feel like you're going to have every day. I had one of my clients, Sam, for example, I recommended Element to him and he was like, it's disgusting. And I was like, fair. I mean, we're all different, right? I loved it. I was like, if I was back, I was drinking it like crack. It was absolutely incredible. I was having like 3 of them a day. It was costing me a fortune. But again, I just think the benefit of the health, I don't care about paying a little bit of a price. If you're going to invest in anything, invest in yourself and invest in your health, right? So as I say, great in the morning because they help sort of improve your energy. Also, they help get rid of the brain fog as well, which is another big thing. So that is everything that I've got written down here about electrolytes. Next up of our essentials is omega-3s. And these are essential because even though our body can get it through fish, our body can't naturally produce omega-3s. So this is actually a little bit of interesting trivia for you. We have essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids, okay? And a lot of people think that protein is protein, but the reality is protein comes with different qualities. So protein from eggs versus protein from peas is very different. And this is one of the biggest arguments around sort of plant-based protein versus animal-based protein, is that the amino acid profile of the animal-based protein is far better. You see, we have 9 essential amino acids that cannot be produced by the body, and that is why they are called essential, because they are essential to get through diet, that a lot of these plant-based proteins don't contain. So you're not actually getting the full protein profile when you buy them. And also, as you know, what a lot of these food companies have done, because like it's sort of trendy and fashionable to be vegan or plant-based now, they stick a big premium on them. So you're paying more and actually getting less from the product that you're buying. So when it comes to protein, good old-fashioned eggs, dairy, lean meat, and fish are the best 4 sources that you can get there. But it's the same with the omega-3s as well, right? These are essential. They're essential because we cannot get them through our body. Our body can't naturally synthesize them. So yes, you can eat fish, but most people aren't eating enough fish and they're not eating enough high quality fish. And again, when it comes to the omega-3s, they're very reasonably priced. They're easy to take. They're safe. They've been well researched and there's so many benefits. They're very multifaceted. The biggest one is they reduce inflammation, not just in your body, but in your brain. And that's super important in your brain because it helps to improve cognitive function and it helps to reduce brain fog. And in your body, it helps to speed up recovery as well. The other thing that it helps to do is improve focus and memory. And it also can improve your triglyceride levels, which is a very important blood marker because that helps to improve your fat metabolism, fat metabolization, I should say. Now, when it comes to picking your omega-3s, you want to be looking for a brand or a product, I should say, that is high in 2 acids that are called EPA and DHA. So they've got super long names that even I can't remember and I certainly can't pronounce them. But if you just turn over the sort of box or the product, just look out for how much EPA and DHA they've got. Because what a lot of them will do is they'll say like 3,000 milligrams of omega-3s and high strength, super strength. And that sounds really great, right? But that's all marketing. So what you want to do is just turn it over and see how many milligrams they've got of EPA and DHA. Now, the ones I take at the moment are from that company I mentioned earlier called Bulk. In the future, I will be switching over to Momentous, which is the company I mentioned the other day that I get the magnesium from. This is a US-based company. You can get them in the UK and it's pretty reasonably priced because they have a distributor who I believe is in the UK. If not, they may be in Germany because Germany is a very popular distribution point for Europe because of the road networks and stuff like that. So you can get them in the US, you can get them in the UK. It's a little bit more of a ball ache me getting them here in Spain. It's a lot more expensive, whereas I can get them from Bulk and I know they're good quality as well. So I think the Bulk ones, I should have got them out, but I think they have 1,600 milligrams of a combined DHA and EPA. You guys can Google that while you're listening to this and you can see it. So it's Bulk Super Strength Omega-3s. Type that into Google, see what you can find. I might have got the numbers wrong, but it's a good quality, it's a good brand, and that's what you want to be looking for is EPA and DHA. Now, if you want to go super like high strength, maximize, optimize when it comes to your omega-3s. Two companies I can recommend to you. One in the UK is called Bear Biology. It was actually my mum who discovered these guys. Really, really high quality. You can get it in liquid or in tablet form. And in the US, there's a company called Thorne, which I think a lot of you guys have mentioned in the past. More expensive, higher quality. And my opinion with supplements is like, if you're going to spend the money, you might as well get the top quality stuff. So yeah, that's omega-3s. And then the last of the essential 4 is vitamin D3. So the way I like to think of vitamin D3 is sunshine in a little capsule. And every single person, particularly in the winter, which I know most of you guys are. I appreciate some of you are in New Zealand and Australia and South Africa and Brazil, and that's amazing. But even in the summer, I would be taking this, and I would be taking 4,000 IUs per day. Now, the problem we have with vitamin D is that the recommended daily dosage allowance, the RDA, recommended daily allowance, that they suggest in the UK and the US is woefully low. And this is not a conspiracy. It just tends to be that government health advice, because it's looking at it from a population level, it always tends to be about 10 years behind. Now, for some things, that's absolutely fine. But for supplementation, it's completely out of date. So in the UK, they recommend 400 IUs per day. Now I'm taking 4,000. In the US, it's slightly higher. It's 600, but still woefully low. Okay. Another another example here where the advice is way out of date is the food pyramid. Right? The food pyramid was essentially a marketing stunt that was paid for by Big Food. It's completely out of date. And I think most people recognize this now. But yeah, you don't necessarily want to be following the advice. It's not a giant conspiracy here, this one. It's just out of date. And eventually they will get around to updating it. I thought they were going to do it during the C word in 2020 because they found huge correlations between incidences of that disease and people who had low levels of that and high levels of vitamin D. So essentially vitamin D, fantastic for your immune support, but it's also fantastic, and the main reason I take it, for mental health as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys have done your research into that and have seen evidence of that as well. And listen, I've been taking it for so long now, it's very hard to tell if it's making a difference, but it's so cheap, it's so widely available. It comes in these tiny little capsules. It's one of those now where it's just like, why wouldn't I take it? So if you're not already, or maybe you're taking a very small dose, I'd recommend that you go up to an absolute minimum of 2,000, but even if you want to go all the way up to 4,000. And again, for that one, I've just switched from bulk to momentous. I'm kind of in this phase at the moment where like, I was a huge fan of bulk for a very long time, and they're a great company, nothing against them. I like supporting UK-based businesses, but from a quality perspective, I'm like taking things to the next level now. I'm always trying to eke out that extra 1% because I've kind of completed the pyramid that we spoke about earlier. So for me, it's like, how can I find those tiny marginal gains? But if you want to kind of like just skip the 10 years of what I did and just go straight to the top, and you're willing to spend the money, for me, momentous is top of the pile. In 3 years' time, that will probably change and there'll be another company, because that's capitalism. That's the free market. That's how life works. That's competition. People come here, then people come here, then people come here. And we as the consumer are the ones who benefit from it. So be thankful for that. Be thankful for capitalism, not communism. So that, I think, is the essential 4 that I wanted to cover, guys. Yeah, like, I mean, if I had to rank them, it's tough. I would probably say creatine, number 1, because it kind of like just gives you more energy at a very simplistic level. I'd say vitamin D, probably 2nd, omegas, electrolytes 3rd and omegas 4th, but all of them I would class as essential. Like if I was president of the world, I would somehow put it into the water supply. Put it that way, like super important, super essential, all very safe, all very well researched. And yeah, men, women, even children with some of these, omega-3s, vitamin D, there's absolutely no reason why children shouldn't be taking this stuff as well. So that's my recommendation. I think with any supplementation though, I would strongly encourage you to do your own research before you just take my word for it. At the end of the day, I'm just a man on the internet who you're watching through a glass screen. I would strongly encourage you to do your own research. Don't use Google like a peasant in 1990. Use ChatGPT, go on PubMed, use the different AI models, these large language learning models. That's what they're there for. Go on PubMed. PubMed allows you to actually look into the scientific research. Don't go on the Daily Mail. Use some common sense here. Critical thinking, again, guys, super important. So that's the essential 4. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 optional extras that I want you to take. So the first one, 99% of you probably haven't heard of, and that's one called Dominate. Now, this is actually a product that you can only get from bulk. It's kind of strange because I think it's had a profound effect on me in the last few years. So I'm quite surprised that none of the direct competitors have released one. If you guys can find one after I've told you what it is, then please tell me, like put it in the chat, put it in the comments after this video. I'd be really intrigued to look into this. But this is essentially like a natural testosterone support, hormone boost, whatever you want to call it, supplementation. So it contains 3 main ingredients. So the first one is one called D-aspartic acid, the second one is called fenugreek, and the third one is called zinc. And these have all been proven to help support and essentially protect men's testosterone levels, because you're fighting a bit of a losing battle past the age of 30 when it comes to testosterone. Most men, the average man, now I know you and I, we're not the average men, right? We're supermen, but the average man's testosterone tends to drop by about 1% every single year after 30 to 35. Again, genetic dispositions, where you are in the world, quality of food, sleep. There's so much we could talk about with testosterone, and we will. We're going to do a whole day where we talk about testosterone later in this series. But just a simple way to kind of prevent that drop, because the thing with testosterone is that it's the precursor to drive. Testosterone is what gets you up in the morning and helps you do hard things. It's the thing that essentially makes the hard things easy. That's the real power of having high testosterone. So anything you can do to protect that, I personally think is worth investing. Now, the one thing I should say, the caveat here is supplements like this are probably going to be somewhat redundant in the next 5 to 10 years. We have things like TRT that's getting more and more mainstream. And truth be told, I'm 38 now. I kind of have a plan that when I turn 40, I might go on TRT. The thing with TRT, and again, I'm not the expert on it, but I've enough clients and I've worked with enough people and I know enough about it to be able to talk about it like this, is that it's permanent. It's permanent. You've got to consider this. As soon as you start taking it, you cannot come off it. So it's an investment for the rest of your life. And it costs, it varies, but anything from sort of 150-ish to like £200-300. So I don't know what it would be in the US. Maybe it's cheaper in the US because it's been around for longer. So I'd be intrigued to know if any of you guys are taking it. The effects are profound. There's no doubt about it. The science has spoken on this. To be honest, it should have come along a long time ago. HRT, the equivalent for women as well, I actually think it's probably more beneficial for them because women go through a much more painful physically and mentally process of menopause, whereas us men don't. But the main driver of the midlife crisis amongst men is the drop of testosterone. So anything you can do to mitigate that as early as possible, the better. Now, the biggest thing to mitigate testosterone is your sleep, because that is when all of our hormones are brought back into balance. The most amount of testosterone, free testosterone, is released into your bloodstream in the middle of the night. So the best thing you can do to get your testosterone levels, to protect them and even get them up, mine is, I think it's about 860, something like that. I'm 38. I actually went up from 35 to 38. I'm going to try and push it to 1,000. I would love to be 40 and have like 1,000 nanograms per liter. That would be really cool. So I'm trying to do everything I can to push that. Best things you can get for testosterone: sleep, weight training, sunlight. So as much of those 3 as you can get. And this is why vitamin D is also fantastic for testosterone as well. So that's the first sort of optional extra. Let me just make sure that I've got covered all the things that I wanted to say there. Yep. Yep, that one's good. Next one I'm going to cover very quickly because we actually spoke about it in the sleep video. So if you haven't already watched that, or by the way, if you're watching this video on repeat and you're not subscribed to my channel, fucking subscribe, mate. I'll get you. But go and watch the whole video I did day 5 or what it was on sleep, and we talk about magnesium L-threonate and the benefits of that. Magnesium, fantastic supplement, and L-threonate is the only one that actually breaks through the blood-brain barrier, and this is essentially enables the production or the boosted production of melatonin, which helps you to fall into deeper sleep and more restorative sleep, which is super important. You take it 30, 60 minutes beforehand. Again, I take from a mentist. You want to aim for quality and you want to aim for a decent dose here. And the very, very last one, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on because truth be told, I've only been taking it for about 90 days. And I like to give a supplement a much longer time window before I kind of claim it's like, life-changing. But that is Tonkat Ali. Now, a few of you probably heard of this. Dr. Andrew Huberman talked about it years ago when he went on Rogan. And I think a lot of the sort of gym bros jumped straight on it there. However, the real challenge has been straight off the back of that, a lot of opportunistic people jumped on Amazon and started selling just crap in a bottle, basically. The challenge has always been finding a high quality one. And that's why I kind of always stayed away from it, because I just knew the companies that were offering it, I just didn't trust them. And then Momentous came along and released it. I started taking it in the summer, which is worth noting, and I'll talk about why in a second. And I noticed a profound effect. Now, bear in mind, I already have a relatively high testosterone level, but I just noticed that I just had an extra 10, 20% in me. I just had more drive, more energy. It almost to a point was like aggression, not in like I'm going to punch everyone in the face way, but I just felt like more fired up for everything. And if you can channel that in a positive way, if you're pushing yourself in your life, that can be a very powerful tool. It has testosterone boosting elements, but again, I want to say I've only been taking it for, maybe it's been longer than 3 months actually. Maybe it's like closer to 4 months now, but still, it's early days. And with this one, I did actually cycle it because I wanted to see if it had an impact. And it seemed to have a sort of a drop in performance in the 2 months that I didn't take it. And now I'm back on it and seem to be firing on all 8 cylinders. So I'm happy with that. So those are the 7 supplements, guys. Some important notes to wrap up. I think kind of already covered these, but it's worth caveating as well. Quality over quantity. That I think is probably the most important thing. If you're going to go out of your way to spend the money, spend the money. Don't buy cheap. It's a little bit like, I'm sure you guys have done the same as me. You need a new iPhone charger. You go on Amazon and you click the first one and it's like $3 or whatever it is. And it comes the next day and you're like, thank God. But then 2 weeks later it breaks and you end up buying like 4 chargers and you spend like $30 on it. Just buy the best one. Just buy the best one because that's the one that's actually going to have the biggest impact for you. So it might cost you more financially up front. Again, I have no vested interest in this. I'm just telling you what I do. It's up to you to, to research this. And also, like, if you want to suggest other companies, like, more than happy to look into them, more than happy to say yay or nay. But yeah, like, I've got nothing to push on this. As I said, supplements help. They're not magic. They're not the shortcut. They're not the cure-all. You have to be doing the hard work to actually get the results. And if you're not doing the hard work, don't take the supplements because you will just be burning money. So don't do that. The tip of the spear, they're the 1%. We talked about all of that. Oh yes, and the last thing, if you are going to take them consistently and take them for at least, at the very bare minimum, 90 days before you decide that they are working for you in a positive or a negative way. Because what a lot of people do is January 1st, let's just say as an example, they'll turn up and they'll change 10 things on January 1st. They'll go to bed a little bit earlier, they'll purposely go out and get some steps in, they'll go to the gym, maybe they'll do a fast, they'll eat more protein, they'll tick all the boxes, they'll drink more water, they'll do a spinning class, whatever. They'll tick all the boxes for a couple of days and they'll go, I feel amazing. It must be because I started taking creatine. What? Causation and correlation are 2 very different things. Yes, the creatine has definitely helped them, but it's not taken them from a 1 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. They're just riding the momentum. They're just riding the wave. So if you are going to introduce a supplement, don't take it for 2 days and go, this is rubbish, I feel the same. That's not how it works. A lot of these supplements, they're going to take about 30 days to even get into your system properly. So 30 days to just get in, 90 days before you judge whether they're working for you or not. I know that's a little bit annoying because it means you've got to spend the money without necessarily knowing when it benefits you or not, but that's part of life, isn't it? We all take risks, and in my experience, these risks are going to pay off. I'm telling you, this is lessons that I have learned, not just from myself, but from coaching hundreds of guys. And it's so interesting, actually, seeing the effects that some of my clients have when they start taking these supplements. Like creatine is a great example, right? A lot of guys they're skeptics of creatine, and then they'll jump on the coaching program. I'll say, take it. They trust me, so they start taking it. And within a week, they're like, why wasn't I taking this for years? Whereas I've kind of forgotten that because I've been taking it for so long. So it's nice to kind of hear that benefit. It kind of validates it, for me, because we can look at the scientific literature and it's like, well, it's science, it's words on a paper, who's funded this study, etc., etc. We have to be skeptical about all this stuff. But when you have people who are like telling you, I feel better for this, it's awesome to hear that. So that's everything on supplements, guys. Task for tonight, as I said, is to research these yourself. Dig into the actual research. Don't go on Google. Don't go on Daily Mail. Don't go on TikTok. Go and look at the actual data, the actual research. And if you want to challenge me on any of these, I'm more than happy to listen to your concerns. Let's jump into the chat and see where we have got to tonight. Down 3 pounds this week. Boom. Well done, Brian, my man. That's absolutely awesome. Yes and yes. Waiting every morning. My average is down 1.5. Boom. Well done. Scoop into the water first thing in the morning. Yep, boom, absolutely brilliant. That's the creatine, I imagine. I had a stroke in 2014 and I've been on creatine since 2020. I can tell you from experience that it makes a huge difference in cognition. That's fantastic. That's really interesting, man. As a stroke survivor, well done. That's fantastic, especially if you mix it with electrolytes. Interesting. Never heard that before. I'll have to look into that. I mean, technically, I suppose I do mix with electrolytes because I have everything at once. So that makes sense. Benefit of electrolytes, most people think they are hungry, but they are dehydrated. Very good reminder. I should have said that. Yep, that's fantastic. Thanks for adding that in. Kev, I use pink Himalayan sea salt for electrolytes at grind in the morning. Yep, 100%. If you want to go straight for that. As I say, the benefit of for me anyway, of the electrolytes is the fact that it just gives me a little bit of flavor, gives me something to look forward to. Like we talked about, one of the biggest principles of having a diet that's sustainable is having things that you enjoy. So like, it's nice to be able to enjoy that in the morning. They changed the food pyramid here in the States early this week. Oh, wow. So I don't watch any news. As I said to you, I'm completely out of the matrix. I don't watch anything. I don't see anything unless people tell it to me. So today I heard there was a storm in the UK because Richard actually told me that. I text my dad. My dad said fake news, by the way, Richard. Sorry. But he loves to do that. But interesting. I'm assuming that's RFK. Fair. Good on him. Interesting guy. Blood work. Do you get your blood work done? How often? Great. Good question. Yes. So the last time I got my blood work done was in the UK in the summer. It was in July. Everything came back great. I've done 3 videos on that. If you go onto my channel and look in the summer, you'll see one around testosterone, one around metabolism, and essentially how my metabolic age is 23, even though I'm 38. That's pretty cool. And one where I walk through all of my bloods and talk about all that stuff. So I would encourage every man over 30 to get their bloods done, ideally once a year. Over 40, definitely. I think depending on where you guys are, it might be mandatory. A lot of companies now, a lot of countries even have medicals, and it goes, once you're over a certain age. But again, when it comes to this sort of medicine, I like to be proactive and I encourage people to be proactive. And the other thing about getting your blood work done is, it, again, a little bit like tracking your food, it takes all the emotion out of the equation. And when you see your cholesterol or your triglycerides or your testosterone are way off what you thought you were, you think, oh damn, I need to actually do something about this. It's your blood, right? It's not lying. It's there right in front of you. It's your genetic code. So yes, very much important. Where are we up to? Can't take fenugreek and have to be careful on some supplements like omega-3 because I'm a blood. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, so this is interesting, right? So obviously I don't know, Brian, I don't know your medical history. I'm not your doctor. So take what I'm about to say to you with a pinch of salt. But when I get a lot of guys who come to me, especially in the States, and they join the program and they're on a long list of medication. I have to like Google this stuff because I will not ChatGPT this stuff, not Google. Google's for peasants. And I go like, okay, what even is half of this stuff? And my goal for those guys in a lot of cases is to actually help them get off all of this medication, whether it's blood pressure pills, statins, SSRIs, all this sort of stuff. Like the US in particular, and you guys know this, is over-medicated, right? We need to remove this. And unfortunately, the UK is going down the same road because they've figured out how profitable it is. So I see myself as kind of a bastion against this stuff. Of course, listen, medicine has its place. It's super important. Thank God for antibiotics. We would all be dead without it, right? But some of these drugs, I think they have more harmful effect than good. Like a lot of people are on melatonin as a supplement, but that's very damaging in terms of your long-term sleep. So there's a lot we could talk about there. But as I say, I'm not a doctor. Bogdan, nice to see you, my man. High no glycine works with NAC. So NAC is an interesting one. Not something I'm not going to talk about it because I've never taken it. A lot of exciting stuff around it. Glycine can be effective. I'm just telling you what I take, man. And I'm saying that L-threonate is the only one that breaks the blood-brain barrier. I can never say that. Thanks for putting the time in to do these live streams and the amount of pre-work it takes. You are welcome. I'm not going to lie to you. My brain is starting to question the meaning of life, but I also enjoy them and I get a real buzz off of them after I come off. So thank you for turning up, guys. Honestly, it's awesome. And the ability to have an impact is why I started this channel in the first place. And it's really cool to be able to do this stuff. So thank you. I also use magnesium. Wicked. What is the last supplement? Tong, T-O-N-G, cat, K-A-T, and then Ali. So Tongkat is one word, and then Ali, like Muhammad Ali, is the second word. What about sea salt? Yep, that can work fine as sodium. That's absolutely fine. Yep, I just said it again. Tongkat, Ali. Yes, RFK, inverted pyramid, Places protein, fats, vegetables, and fruits at the broad base. Cool. Top of the pyramid with whole grains and fruit lower down. So, as in, so fruit's more important or less important? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I get you now. I get what you're saying. So you're saying protein, fats, vegetables, and fruits at the bottom. Gotcha. And then as we go up, carbohydrates and stuff as we go. Yeah. Broadly speaking, the challenge you've got is when you are talking to 330 or 340 million people, that is a lot of people. It's very, very, very hard to give advice at that level, population level. This is actually why we invented BMI. BMI on its own is a pretty useless statistic. Like, for example, if you look at England rugby players, boxers, heavyweight boxers, Anthony Joshua, right? He's 250 pounds, 6'6", shredded. Can you imagine being that big and being shredded? And if you looked at his BMI, he'd be morbidly obese. You going to go and tell AJ that? No, it'll knock you out. But so BMI is a little bit useless in that sense. But at a population level, we have to have some sort of metric to be able to measure whether things are going in the right direction or the wrong direction. So fantastic, really happy to hear that he's done that. The problem is now is how do you then communicate that message? Because the biggest challenge we have when it comes to nutrition, and you guys know this, is education, right? Imagine how powerful it would be if your kids or even us as kids knew even the basics of this stuff. One of my long-term aspirations is to be able to get into the education system. I don't know how we're going to do that, whether that's through kids' books or whether that's at a government level. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. That's a 10-year goal. But for me, that's the real impact because, you know, to an extent, we can make some changes and we can do that, but we want to get these guys when they're young. And like one of the coolest benefits of working with the clients that I have, a lot of them are fathers and they're able to lead by example and educate their sons and their daughters. I got an amazing text of one of my clients, Werner, who's bloody hell, my brain's going. He's in Abu Dhabi, and he was saying his 14-year-old son has now started essentially copying him, started like going after what he's doing, both in terms of exercise and in terms of the lifestyle and the nutrition. And that's so cool to see. So you guys, we have to do this because we can't leave it up to the school system, right? We just cannot, unfortunately. I wish we could, but we can't. So it's our responsibility. One of the things I hate the most is when we get fat guys in their 40s and their 50s going, oh, well, the younger generation, they're so weak. It's like, they're weak because you're weak. It really pisses me off. They are coming from you as an example, from us as an example. So it's our responsibility to be better, guys. We have to do this for them, okay? Don't wait for your government. Don't wait for whoever it is to try and solve the problem for you. They ain't going to do anything about it, all right, guys? Anyway, I'm going to eat some dinner. I'll leave you to it. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching. I enjoyed this one tonight. Hopefully you found it useful. I'll see you then. Bye.